Alright, so I just picked up this John Deere 300 for very cheap. I can't even remember. It was either $250 or $300. It's a running John Deere 300, which is, I think, the first version of this. No, it wasn't the first version, but it was the first 300 series. I think the predecessor to this was the 140. So this is a lot like a 318 or a 317 or an old 316. It's got a single cylinder Kohler and some very basic controls. This is the old style that would have like the integral hitch, which actually works pretty good. Don't discount it over a 3-point hitch. It works pretty good. So the things wrong with it: the carburetor leaks. It runs a little bit rough. I've already cleaned the carburetor out, but there's the bowl is leaking and a few other issues, and I think the points probably need to be redone. It had a good battery. It had really good tires all the way around, and the body is rusted, but it's actually not in bad shape. There's I mean, just a little bit of sanding in a rattle can will make this look pretty good. The hood is good. The lights actually work, although it doesn't have the front lens. Seat's shot, but it's fine. So this is not to add to a collection or anything like that. This is, I need to put it to work in my yard. I've already got the integral hitch that I ordered for $200 off eBay, and I'm just going to get a drag blade, probably like a Brindley drag blade, and a couple other accessories for it that I need to put this into work. I've had a 316, a 317, a 420, I'm sorry, 430 diesel with a 44 loader on it, and I got rid of all that stuff because all our yard projects were pretty much done. However, I have a couple new projects. I should have never got rid of the 430, but I got a really good price for it, so I couldn't resist selling it. But I also enjoy fixing these things up. So ordered a few parts. I ordered a brand new carburetor because they're just so cheap. And I'll put this on and document it. I also got a carburetor rebuild kit for the one that's on there. And the reason why I do that is carburetors these days are so cheap, and they actually work pretty good. I've had really good luck with getting, yes, they're all Chinese-made carburetors, but they seem to work fine, and in some instances actually better than like an old OEM. But so what I'll do is I'll take that one off, put that one on, and then in my leisure time rebuild this one and get it ready to go and put it on the bench. So when I have an issue with this one, it's much, usually you have an issue with a carburetor, it's gummed up or something after you haven't used it for a while or something, and you're in the middle of something. So instead of stopping, pulling off the carburetor and rebuilding, which doesn't take a lot of time, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a lot easier just to swap a carburetor out real quick. It takes 10 minutes. So what I like to do on most everything, especially generators that's carbureted, or pressure washers or whatever else, I always like to get a second spare carburetor and a rebuild kit. That way I'm always swapping them out. Do that for my little outboard and several other things that I have, especially the outboard. You never the plan would be to carry that spare carburetor with it, because it really takes minutes to change out. So we'll do that. And I also got points, and this gauge, this old amp meter gauge, the glass is gone and this thing's just shot. I tried loosening the needle to try to get it to work, and maybe I could put like a piece of plastic over it to use it, but instead I just got a volt gauge. I prefer the volt gauge. The amp meter does work, to see if certain things are coming on or if it's charging or not, but I still like a volt meter. So we've got voltmeter, carburetor swap, carburetor rebuild, and points and plugs. So we are going to get this thing all set up, get it to run good, and then put the integral hitch on it, and then put it to work. I got lights for it. I got to get everything working. This thing is actually not in that bad a shape, although it looks obviously like it's sat outside for a while. But you can have this thing recover. This thing can recover to full usable potential. I'm not going to make a restored tractor out of it or anything, but it will be made into something that is completely usable with implements in the back. And I may even build a front loader on it similar to the one I built for my 318 years ago. We'll see. That would be a project down the road. I think that's it. Everything works pretty good. I already lubed all the cables and sprayed everything down, although it's not really properly lubed. I just used WD-40 to loosen everything up. I'll go back and lube it with the proper lubrications at the proper points a little bit later. And I think that's it. Even still has the original sticker on the back of it. Crump, Michigan. So it made its way down here from Crump, Michigan, I suppose. So that's it. I'll document as I go. So maybe we can use this as a resource. Alright, bye. Okay, I just also wanted to document a before and after start and run. So we're just going to give this a start real quick, see if I can demonstrate. I just had it running a few minutes ago. So let's see what we can get. We'll give it a little throttle, pull the choke out. So that's it. It will run. You can see the carburetor's leaking. Either the float bowl stuck or that gasket. I think that gasket's also got a cut in it. So obviously the fuel pump's working. So that's how she runs before. As a matter of fact, it didn't run that good. I did have the carburetor off once already and just cleaned it up very quickly. Put it back on. It did run a little bit better. It ran worse when I first got it, but still not running great. So I think it needs the full treatment points. Rebuild the full carburetor with different it needs new O-rings and gaskets and things, and then new plug and points, and we'll see how it runs after. Alright, bye. Alright, excuse the finger. We're going to start with one-handed removing this carburetor. We're just going to swap the carburetor real quick. So this is just a spring-loaded piece right here. Get that off without too much trouble, maybe. Just a little spring-loaded piece. You can see the end right there. And it just presses back on too, onto that little ball. And you got two screws. So one back there and one over there. This one's kind of inaccessible, but you got to do them simultaneously, kind of. And you can back one all the way off till it won't go any further, then do the other one a little bit. Excuse this for doing one-handed. I'll have to use the screwdriver. Now, on the new carburetor, I'm going to have to change this fitting over. And I think that's it. And then you also got your choke cable right here. And that just, once you get the carburetor loose, that just slides right off. Just move that right off. So I'm going to shut the camera off, take the rest of these screws out, swap this over, and then see how it runs. Sorry about the finger. Alright, got the carburetor on there. Literally takes like 7 minutes to put a carburetor on there. But I can tell you the adjustments were way off. They were both, I think that side screw, I think that's like idle mixture possibly. Not really sure on this one. And then I think this one's the main jet. But they were both very, very rich. So I had to go way down. And I think they're pretty close right now. But so this is the carburetor from this place. That was the part number. And of course, it's Chinese made, but it seems to be decent quality. doesn't look too bad. And everything fits right on. I just had to put the fitting on, so I just had it running, and this is going to be a hot start, so I don't know if I'm going to need to choke it. We'll just see what happens. So we just give it a tiny bit of throttle. We'll see what happens. It hunts a little bit, not much, but it runs pretty smooth. But I haven't done the plug or the points yet. I expect it to run just a little bit smoother, but it's already a million times smoother than it already was. So we'll do the points and the plugs next, and the condenser. If this has one, I haven't even looked if this has one or not. I'm sure it does, but anyways, so far so good. And then I'll rebuild that other carburetor, wherever the hell it is, right there. Rebuild that with the kit, and see how it goes. We'll put this thing to work. Alright, this is the 300 that I got. I think it was like, I don't remember what we paid for it. It was $300 or $500. I can't remember. I think it was 300 or 340, something like that. But it is running good. All I did was change the points over here. Points are behind that box in there. Put a new carburetor on it. Clean the air filter, because the air filter was caked. So, and I'm about to use it. I got a trailer over there, and I got some bushes over there against the screen porch, the pool screen, and I'm gonna use the trailer, I'm sorry, the 300, to grab that trailer and tow it over there, so I can just chainsaw those bushes down, lop them in there, and I'll get some video of that running. But we'll do a startup here. Let's see, give it a little throttle, pull up a choke, and let's see what we got here. Actually, I don't think it needs a choke. Purrs like a kitten. Alright, no big deal for a little tractor like this, but just thought I'd show it being used. because you can buy a tractor like this for very cheap and immediately put it to use. I have a sleeve hitch for it. I had a little problem getting the trailer low enough. I had to take the little swivel wheel off of it, but when I get the sleeve hitch on it, I should be able to just go up to it and lift it up and take it. So slowly I'll make this thing usable. I had some other videos that were pretty popular where I had a homemade front bucket that I made out of a 54-inch two-way plow to make a little bucket, and I used, that was on a 318, and I also had a 317 very similar to this 300, and basically we used it to transform this entire backyard. Pretty much every square inch of this was dragged and leveled to the best I can. I don't want it perfectly level because a lot of rain and lakes and it has to kind of flow off this, but we did every square inch of this yard, planted all these things. So I thought we were done with the 318, so I sold it, but we're never done. I should have never sold it. But I actually like this little 300. The Onan was a good motor, twin cylinder, a little more horsepower, but you don't really need a lot of horsepower. And this one is actually much quieter and much smoother. I'm actually pretty impressed with this little 300. Essentially the same otherwise, and it's got the twin spool or twin handle hydraulic controls. You can see the quick disconnects on the front, and I think I may end up making another front end loader for this, probably a little bit different design than the other one, probably to where it can lift a little higher, because it's got more uses if you can lift it higher, but it won't be like a 44 loader. It won't be that high, I don't think. We'll see. But anyways, a little 300 for 350 bucks or so, already coming in handy. Runs like a charm. Just needed really just needed the carburetor rebuilt, but I put a new carburetor on it. I've got a rebuild kit, and now I've rebuilt the other carburetor. It's just going to sit on the shelf until it's needed, you know. May never be needed, but I'll repaint this and use it. Got plenty of work to do. You can see that dip right there, just to the right of the tractor. There's a big dip there. That's another reason why I need this. When I had the 318 and we leveled everything, there was a giant oak tree there. Since that oak tree has since been cut out, so I have to get some dirt and I have to level that area and resod. And there's another one somewhere on the property that needs basically the same thing. So anyways, we'll record some of these projects and the usefulness of a 300 or 300 series like this tractor. You just really can't beat them. All right, bye.